Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Historical Humans Heritage. And today we are looking at the 18th century Royal Palace at Caserta with the park, the Aqueduct of Van Vitelli, and the San Lucio complex. A lot of things, a lot of words, but what is it?
Yeah. So basically, what this is there's a place called Caserta in southern Italy, north of Naples. So this is between Naples and Rome. And in the 18th century, there was a Bourbon king called Charles III who decided that um, the palaces at Versailles and Madrid were just too dang fancy, and he wanted his own fancy palace to outcompete both of theirs.
When
Uh,
you're competing with Versailles, that's already a tough thing to bargain with.
to be fair, he's a Bourbon, so he is also French.
Yeah, oh, I am French. Oh.
So there's a little bit of interfamily ego going on here.
A Frenchman with
Uh,
an ego?
yeah,
Je ne sais quoi.
not the least of which being attempts to call back to the I believe to the legacy of Louis the 14th,
I mean,
who
it's
who
not
built Versailles.
it's not unusual to see things like this where a new ruler or new dynasty will try to build something even bigger and even better than the previous dynasty as a way to solidify themselves as the ruler and as the future. And it's just another way to harken back to that. So it's not unusual. We just mock it because it's funny.
Yeah, it is. It is often fun to make fun of it, and also, you know, both Louis the 14th and Charles the Third here both have powerful French heritage. So being able to say I'm as great as this great and powerful royal ancestor is kind of a big and important flex in terms of the political landscape of 18th century Europe. Uh, especially if you're a Bourbon and we're coming up on the revolutions. So this is the pride before the fall, everybody.
There is no war in Boxing Say.
Yeah.
Um, but
Uh,
then there is also other beautiful heritage here, like the aqueduct, which is honestly gorgeous. I have it pulled up on my screen, and it is just beautiful.
yeah. One of the key things with almost all the art and architecture at Caserta was that um, there was an effort to incorporate the natural woodland surrounding the complex into it rather than impose the artwork and the structures on the natural landscape. It was designed to exist in harmony with the nature around it, rather than simply reshape the nature to our liking. Um, uh, there is, this can be seen a lot, especially with in the Royal Palace's park. There is a series of statues, beautiful white marble statues, placed upon not marble pedestals in the lake, but the actual natural rock face uh, that existed there, giving the illusion that these Roman style artworks are in fact real people walking on the very real shoreline of this lake, as opposed to the traditional form, which would be build a marble backdrop, build a marble pedestal, then put the statues on top of that to display them sort of above the nature rather than as a part of it.
And I could be wrong on this, but it looks like they're almost built out of that beautiful white Carrara marble as well.
They probably are. This is 18th century uh, neoclassical and Enlightenment artwork.
Okay, so yeah, it is.
Yeah, uh, commissioned by a bourbon king, so I guarantee you he had the pocketbook for it.
Well, and it's closer to Rome than most other places getting the Carrera marble, but it's beautiful because this shows the wide scale of human heritage and lineage in the site, and it's overall in pretty good condition. I mean, the aqueduct is what looks like to be in really good condition. The palace is in pretty good condition. The park is beautiful.
Yep. Um, yeah, there is the notes on integrity from UNESCO, which notices that the site is in good condition, and it largely attributes that to the fact that the local community recognizes the complex as a symbol of their history, one of which they are very much proud. I mean, the King of France built his personal palace in your town. How are you not making bank on that, right?
The biggest risks to all three of these sites, though, is the risk of further development near them, and the fact that none of the three sites really have all that deep of pocketbooks. Just the fact that there's urban development pressures happening all around them, and the fact that there's certain risk of usage for some of the sites, like the palace itself has the issue of being too much foot traffic, having too many people come through, because believe it or not, tourism can actually have a detriment to a lot of these historic sites.
Yeah.
And the San Lucio complex on the opposite side of it is having issues because of the lack of new uses for a lot of the buildings. They're not able to utilize it to its best.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not able to utilize it to the full extent, and to make matters worse, the encroaching urban development is an extremely sharp sword for this site in particular, because it was meant to be integrated with a vast natural landscape around it. The more you build near it, the more of the site you are actually cutting away, because it is meant to play off of and interact with the forest. If there's no forest, even though you've not destroyed anything that any human being has actually done, you've still destroyed the site.
We talk about context a lot, and the context of a site can be just that. And what Column's kind of vaguely referencing too is the view shed of the property. And that's something that a lot of places within historic preservation look at is the view shed. Because while it may not interfere with the property directly or the buildings themselves, the area immediately adjacent to it and the areas that are within the view shed are immediately in the vicinity and can impact the site, and it could impact the view.
Well,
It
it's not even just the view shed. In this case, the view shed is part of the site. The original intent of the site was that the forest be a part of it. That was the design for the palace
Viewshed goes
complex
even further than that in terms
when
of
they made
historic
it.
preservation, though.
Yeah. And I'm just saying the forest itself should be considered a part of the historic
Yeah.
site, not just its view shed. Like the view shed of the forest should be considered, not just the view shed to the forest from the actual buildings.
Yeah, but you can't be going too far with all that now.
No. Like just because of how much the natural environment was meant to be integrated into this site.
Yeah. But I think that's a good point for us to wrap up on today's episode. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.